pulse of nature is an easy concept to observe in action when we spend some time outside of our own minds. Walking through the woods, for example, or commuting to the office, collecting garbage, or raising a family. But when it comes to religion, we tend to look for the simple extreme, for the black or white answer that contains little or no nuance and color. Our mind, too, functions by dint of dualities, like that of the right and left brain. Whereas the golden mean, where polarities meet and the real work of the world gets done, seems mediocre and messy. We want clarity, but God loves complexity. That is why He made so much of it. One complicated source of confusion and doubt in the Qur'an stems from the contrast between love and law. In the 3rd verse of the opening, the 1st chapter of the Qur'an, Allah refers to Himself as Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In the very next verse, however, He continues with Maliki Yawmiddin. Most Muslims embrace both verses equally. There is no contradiction, since both are features of the same omnipotent God. But while one group, many of whom self-identify as Salafis, prefer a stricter version of Islam and show more concern for following the rules, another group, usually referred to as Sufis, emphasize mercy and see room for bending those rules. Critics of Islam commonly favor the latter group and attack the idea of a legalistic God who is harsh, punitive, and even petty. They want to see a relaxed, open, and what they call moderate Islam. Some of our modern preachers are willing to give it to them, and over the past several decades have been merrily watering down the legal side of Islam to satisfy these critics. They will never succeed, of course. For each demand that is partly satisfied, a new accusation is waiting to be launched. While there are plenty of Muslims who would love to make love the new law of Islam, there are plenty more who insist that all we need is to implement the Sharia in full, with all its penalties intact. This dynamic of pitting love against the law is an ancient one. Let us go back to the 2nd century of the Common Era, when we can see that there is nothing new under the sun. Welcome to the world of Marcion. By many accounts, he was born in 85 CE and died around 160. His father was a Christian bishop in Sinope, Anatolia, which today is a city in Turkey. Marcion attained much wealth from shipping and moved to Rome in his 50s. Eventually, estranged from the congregation there, he founded his own church at a time when Christian doctrines on such matters as who God is, what the nature of Jesus was, and what were the canonical texts of the faith had not yet crystallized. Marcion's church grew in strength for a few hundred years. There are reports that it was still extant in Khorasan as late as the 9th century CE. This is what Oswald Spengler in The Decline of the West Volume 2, page 225, has to say about Marcion. He was sensible of the absurdity of two religions that were unreservedly at war with one another, possessing the same holy writ, namely the Jewish canon. In these texts, Marcion saw the real conspiracy against the truth and the most urgent danger for the doctrines intended by Jesus and, in his view, not yet actualized. Paul the prophet had declared the Old Testament as fulfilled and concluded. Marcion the founder pronounced it defeated and cancelled. What was his problem with the Old Testament, and why was his solution so dangerous for the Christianity of his time? And then what has all that got to do with our critics of Islam today? We shall see in video number 8, God willing.